Nation, I'm Jessie CHAHAL. Well, from the erasure of neighborhoods in Rafah to the sharpening rhetoric between Washington and Tehran at this point, the global order is looking increasingly brittle, while civilians, as ever, are bearing the cost and the brunt of it. In such a climate, the question to ask at this point is not only geopolitical, it's also one of moral value. Can ancient wisdom help us navigate these times and offer a credible blueprint for modern resilience and sustainable peace? Well, that question is at the forefront of today's discussion. Today we turn to World Quran Hour 2026 with its theme Shaping the Human Self Before Changing the World. And joining us is FAZRUL ISMAIL, Chief Content Officer of the Warisan Ummah Ikhlas Foundation. FAZRUL, welcome to the nation and thanks for making time to be here today. This point of time, as we wear a global lens and look outward as well, we see a world that's deep in turmoil, from the devastating loss of Rafah to the escalating tensions between US and Iran at this point. In the face of such overwhelming instability, how does the World Quran Hour offer a sense of hope and even a way of mental sanctuary for a global community?
Yeah, thank you, Jessie. Talking about in the midst of the crisis, all the turmoils in the world, the current world right now, we can be so depressed about what's happening. Listening to the speech from the leaders from US, from all over the world, and at the same time, we have the ancient wisdom. We have Quran for the Muslim, and it's not only for Muslim. It is mentioned in chapter number 2 in the Quran. This Ramadan, this is the early era or the early history, the first revelation. And Quran is not only the value system for the Muslim, but also for the nation, for the global. And one of the chapter mentioned, because we have 114 chapters in Quran, chapter number 73 is Surah Muzammil. We want to read the Quran to understand the values, because it is a mind sanctuary, we can say, mental sanctuary. We want to relate with the real value from our Creator, because God is so merciful, and when we have access to the book, to the wisdom from the most merciful, of course we will bring mercy rather than the crisis, conflicting, trying to overpower to other people, because we are human, created equal, and we need to bring justice for all mankind.
And based on that message that resonates not just with a local community, but even a global audience, what do you think has been lost in translation, or what do you think has lost its essence along the way as how people approach ancient scripture and how we interpret it, given what's happening around us today?
Yes, definitely. When we observe Quran, for example, it was revealed in Arabic language, right? And me as a Malaysian, I'm not able to understand Arabic unless when I did study in the States, and then I went to Egypt. There's my history about understanding Arabic. And then I discover from this language, it has the root and the value which will bring the real mercy from God when the wisdom was revealed. But the issue is when the Muslim, for example, read the Quran in Arabic letters, they say that they have the reward from God. This is true. But at the same time, they rarely to understand the book. When the Muslims say that we really believe in this book, there's no discrepancy, no mistake, and so on and so forth. But then when I ask myself, not others, to ask myself, what do I understand from this book 30, 40 years back? I cannot answer. When September 11 happened in New York Tower, right? I was in the States at the time. FBI came to me to ask the extremism in the Holy Quran to me, myself.
To point that out, or
yes,
give an understanding as to
He said that in Quran promoting extremism, and I said that no, he didn't. But he said that in Surah Muhammad in several chapters. When I tried to argue or try to explain, hardly at that time, because I didn't know Arabic, so difficult for me to explain that Islam bring peace, and we can see along the history that the peace is really propagated by Islam, because they see the conflicting idea in the book. But then when I study Arabic and try to understand what does it mean, then I discover in Surah Al-Hajj, Surah chapter number 22, it is only approved for the Muslim, for example, to defend themselves when they are being attacked. And war is not the language of the Muslim world if they really understand. But somehow when people don't really read from the values in the Quran, they say that in Quran, we as Muslims, we really want to fight anyone who opposed to us. That is the right value in it.
So there's a misconception and a misunderstanding, as well as perhaps things that are misinterpreted as well. Now, as we speak about surahs, the spotlight this year is on Surah Al-Muzammil. Explain the historical background here of this surah, and really how this surah has impacted the Prophet when facing social pressures at that time, and make comparison and relevance
to this current world.
To this current world.
Yeah, Surah Muzammil is the 73 chapter in the Quran in the term of the sequence, and it was revealed in the earliest part of the messengership of Prophet Muhammad. So he was appointed as the messenger to share the knowledge, the value, because at that time it is rampant with the corruption in the Meccan history. So Surah Muzammil was revealed to because when the first revelation was given to Prophet Muhammad, this is something new, right? The new task. So he get shivered, he get nervous, he asked his wife to wrap him with the blanket, with the cloth. And then the first verse, "O you who are wrapped in garments," that is the first verse, talking about for those who are nervous, who are wrapped in garment. Normally, wrapped in garment, we used to do it when we are sleeping, right? So we try to avoid the public pressure, public issue, and so on and so forth. The God says that you need to get up and not to talk to other people, but talk to God, talk to Allah first. Why? Because when we feel nervous, when we have something new in our life, right? We transfer from one department to another, we move from one place to another, we have new experience, getting married, get new kids, and so on and so forth. At that time, we will feel nervous, and how to deal with all those uncertainty, chaotic moment in our life. Talk to God. Talk to God, and especially at night, because that is when we will compose ourselves. During the day, we are so busy, we will deal with all the human beings, and people will make our heart, our mind complex, right? And get up, talk to God, share the problem, and that is one of the remedy to Prophet to bring the courage to compose himself before he deal with the public pressure. Because when calling for the goodness, sometimes people will make it difficult for the one who bring the message.
That's right, and I think also to add to that is a time for reflection, inner reflection, and that inner conversations to seek to understand first before trying to be understood. Perhaps that's a good starting point. And on that note, we take a quick breather, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for our deep dive and conversation of the World Quran Hour. We'll be right back. Today we turn our focus to World Quran Hour 2026 with its theme shaping the human self before changing the world. In the studio joining me today is FAZRUL ISMAIL, Chief Content Officer of Warisan Ummah Ikhlas Foundation. We've been talking at length about not just World Quran Hour, but its significance and how ancient intelligence or ancient wisdom can help us through these tough times by giving us a better perspective. FAZRUL, as we see places like Rafah that's literally being wiped off the map, there's a breakdown of the global social system for sure. How does the social system that is mentioned in verse 20 of charity and prayer, how does this challenge Muslims to rebuild for a more compassionate sense of society and even humanity that will transcend borders?
Yeah, true. In verse 20 in Surah Muzammil, it mentioned about prayer and charity. Why prayer is so important? Because every day the Muslim will have 5 obligatory prayer, and repeatedly they will say Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim in Arabic. The most Allah, the God, is the most gracious, the most merciful. So the more that the Muslim praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the God, they should embed the idea of mercy in their daily life, and that is through charity. So this is the need when we get back to the ancient wisdom from the Quran, because some people, they focus on their prayer, but they don't want to help other people. Or they help other people, but they don't want to pray, because the strength in individual will come from their connection with God, with the most merciful. Because sometimes when we do mercy, do good to our family members, to our friends, colleagues, and so on and so forth, sometimes they don't really appreciate for what we do to them. And at that time, are we going to continue to do good, or we just trick the handbrake, right? And for those who pray, they have the continuous mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can feel the mercy, oh, Allah still give me Malaysia, still in the midst of the turmoil in Iran, in Israel and whatnot, we are still blessed with so much. At that time, they say that if Allah continue to give me so much, although sometimes I forgot to do my responsibility, I should be continuously to show gratitude and give charity, be mercy to other people. And if we can continue this value in the midst of conflict, the small, big conflict in this country, we will maintain a good ecosystem rather than revenge to each other and try to demolish one identity to another.
I like that interpretation and that explanation, as well as that outlook, but you know, it's also the flip side of it is that it's not one size fits all. Not everyone can be that gracious and wanting to, you know, have both that element of not just prayer but also giving back to society or charity. We live in an era, and that is the reality of it, that where, you know, the likes on social media and wanting to instantly, you know, have this sense of, you know, I belong or I'm accepted. How does the surah's message help us in terms of internal growth to serve in this world that is craving attention and recognition and power, and sometimes even the very basic of acceptance?
Yeah, one of the training being provided in the Surah Muzammil is prayer at night. Prayer at night. What does it mean by night? Night should be something dark, without the light, without the lights. Okay, but somehow, because we are living in this current world, we have the light 24 hours, right? People are craving, offering lights, comment, and so on and so forth. Surah Muzammil, because this is something ancient wisdom from Allah, from the God. The recommendation is just to have a pause, as a stop. Get rid a little while the lights and the lights. Focus on prayer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because when we get up in the middle of the night and talk to Allah personally, that show integrity. We will compose ourselves. We are not feeling good because of the light from other people, but because being blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by God. So if we can appreciate ourselves with the night prayer, then the public won't be craving of those lights and the culture of trying to get as much spotlight as possible, because they can see, when I can have the spotlight from God, as long that I'm doing good, inculcate the good value, I'm good enough. I don't have to crave and to demand from the public.
That's right. Now, in the surah, there are figures as well, like Harun and Hatijah, who provided crucial support. In today's context, how can we as a society play this supportive role for the oppressed? And why is this term, the individual reform, why is this the first step towards the big picture and the big objective of global peace?
Yeah, in the time of Prophet, when he received the first revelation, he went to Khadijah, his wife, and he asked for Zammiluni in Arabic, please cover me up. Please cover me out with the cloak, with the blanket, because at that time he got nervous. Zammiluni in Arabic, so basically asking the help to cover it up, to support him, to assist him. And this is essential because family support in this turbulence time is so essential when we have so much in at the workplace, when we have the turmoils in all over the world. The basic nucleus unit in our life, which is family, should be strengthened. And Khadijah is the wife of the Prophet. Prophet Harun is the brother to Prophet Musa. This is the institution that we cannot neglect. No matter how developed our country, we need to raise the awareness. The family need to give the good tidings, the good words, and this is being inculcated in Surah Muzammil.
Well, beyond the 60 minutes that will be World Quran Hour, let's talk about the movement itself. Walk us through the vision and mission of World Quran Hour, especially this year, and then give us an insight as well into the theme and how that will be carried out.
Yeah, this World Quran Hour, our vision is not only an event of 1 hour, but it's a movement, starting with the awareness of 1 hour. Its vision is simple but powerful, to bring Quran to the center. The wisdom from Allah, from God to the center, rather than the human wisdom. Because human wisdom, we can live the maximum of maybe 60, 80, 100 years. And if we can bring the wisdom from God, so that we are doing mercy no matter what happen in our life, we maybe feel in turmoil, we have the bad experience in our family or in our daily life, but still we want to make sure the orientation is God, because God is so merciful no matter what race, what religion, what not, then we want to be part of them.
There's also the element of individuals who will be observing World Quran Hour to really interact with the Quran through reading, understanding, and then importantly, FAZRUL, also the application of the teachings and the values. This is an effort towards instilling compassion in our souls until it becomes way of life. What do you say to perhaps the younger audience, the children and maybe youth alike, who are looking towards the Quran for an interpretation in their world where it is quite clouded and noisy with TMI, too much info and a lot of distractions. And again, I allude to things like AI and social media that sometimes take a negative influence on them.
For youngsters, for everyone, basically, when we have the AI, the so much development, sometimes it can be beneficial, but sometimes it can be so noisy that we don't know which one is real and what value need to be emphasized, right? So when we have World Quran Hour, what we aim is to focus rather than diverging our thought. We want to converge, because God is always promoting good value, give the mercy to the mankind, and from that word mercy, if we can converge everything, what we do, what we leave the comment, if we leave the comment with a lot of mercy, that will solve many problems in the media, social media and whatnot, rather than everyone will choose, I leave this comment because this is my value, I want to bring my justice, my truth, and so on and so forth. And in the end, we are not showing mercy, and we collide to each other.
Right. This year's event in 2026 is going to be conducted in English. This, of course, is a move that reflects the campaign's commitment to being inclusive and wanting to reach out to a global community, as well as non-Muslim friends who are definitely curious about these values. And, I'm always the one to say, if you can adapt and adopt values that are good, then, of course, why not, while still being grounded in your own. So how will this then help to, spread that message of goodness and peace?
After a few years that we organized the World Quran Hour in Malay language, and certain individual or the students from all over the world in IIUM, for example, attending the program, and they said they give the response, they don't really understand what's going on in the program. So starting from this year, we decided to make it in English, because we want to, Quran speaks not only for Malay or for the Muslim, the Quran speaks to the humanity, to the whole nation, and most of the people will understand English, and we want to bring wider global audience, including the non-Muslim friends who are curious, talking about what's the value, because the value is not only for Muslim or for Malay. For example, we want to apply together, and perhaps Jesse will advise me if I didn't do good according to the Quran, and we can share to each other.
That's right. For someone wanting to reform their own life, why is March 11th particularly as a date a perfect starting point? Will this just be a reading session, a sit-down session, or is it also a collective pause to realign, redirect and fix our own moral compass?
Yeah, when we get together, we hope that more than 5,000 packs will be attending. We hope this will be a moment of reflection. Maybe certain individuals are able to read it in Arabic or to understand the whole surah, but we want to read and understand the values and make a resolution. If this 1 hour can make a good intention throughout my life, that will be a great moment.
Mm-hmm. And what will your message be for those contemplating being part of World Quran Hour? Can they do it in their own spaces, wherever they are across Malaysia or the globe?
It is recommended for everyone. If you can attend in Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Mosque in IUM on the March 11 at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, or joining on TV, online, on their own place. Open the Quran, read the translation, and try to